All right, welcome to the Sweet Sounds of Fighting Jiu-Jitsu instructional channel. We've got myself, James, and Ryan. We're going to take you through the 9 fundamental leg lock positions. This is going to go into our leg lock series. Then we're going to dive a little deeper into each position, submissions, etc., etc. But make sure you check the description. You can talk to Ryan directly in the Sweet Sounds of Fighting Underground, submit your footage for match breakdowns, ask more questions and all these technical instructionals, and also get access to all the strength and conditioning programs. But we'll get to it.
Okay, I'm just going to go over a quick explanation of the 9 positions. Maybe not so quick, but we'll go over an explanation of the 9 positions. I like to put them in 3 different categories, A, B, and C. Each category has 3 positions. In those technically 9 positions is going to tell you where you're at and kind of give you a kind of a hierarchy of submissions you'll want to apply within those positions. So the first position we're going to talk about, which is most common and typically the most easiest entry to get into, and the first one that everybody always learns, is basic ashi garami position. So the basic ashi garami position, we're going to get to heel to the hip here. Avoid the idea of this thing here. People used to point their toes in. This is not such a good strategy. What we actually want to do is have our heel on the hip here, so that way we have a bit of a push, a bit of a kick here that we can actually produce. So this is going to be just a basic ashi garami position. My inside foot is going to be hooking to the inside of his thigh. And then I'm going to close out the position typically with the basic ankle lock. Now the most important part about ashi garami position is that I pinch my knees and I retract my heels. Okay, this is where I actually want to be facing this direction. Get out of the habit of falling backwards like this. This is not necessarily wrong, but it does allow James to respond and to be able to stand up and start to counter. If I face this direction, immediately I can start going to a belly down ankle lock. I have a bit of a knee shield, and he can't just come forward immediately. Okay, key points here: heel on the hip, pinch the knees, retract the heels, and then make sure you always fall to the side. Okay, you can fall right, and you can also fall left, which left leads into a little something different. But we're just going to start here with ashi garami position. So this is what we call A1. All of A category is going to be with the leg on the outside of the body. Okay, so that's all A. So we don't touch the leg here; it just stays on the outside. Now the second position is going to be double outside ashi, and we're going to step the leg. I'm going to take the foot and I'm going to step it over and get into double outside ashi. The key points with double outside ashi is I need to make sure that my knees technically try to stay up, facing the ceiling. And from here we'll start to attack heel hooks. We can also produce ankle locks. The issue with double outside ashi, I just want to explain this. Double outside ashi tends to be the more vulnerable of the leg lock positions. It's precisely because if I start to go for an ankle lock or something like this, he can start to climb and start to stack me, and I can start to get crushed here. The counter to a little bit of this is to make sure that I have an ankle lock grip. If I have an ankle lock grip, he can't fully take my back. Okay, I can kind of survive here. I certainly can't technically finish him. I'll have to improve my position. If I transition to a heel hook, outside heel hook position, and he starts to slip this heel, and I don't get the ankle lock grip, he's going to stack me and take my back. So the vulnerability with double outside ashi is back exposure. And this tends to be kind of universal rule in leg locks. I always say once we go for leg locks, you're also giving up your leg lock, or giving up your legs so they can also leg lock you, but you're also giving back exposure. So, and that's for both players. If he turns and tries to run away here, and then he's giving back exposure, I can technically come up and start to attack his back. And certainly, if I have no grip on the leg and I start to turn, he can climb up and start to attack my back. Okay, so just understand leg locks and back attacks essentially go hand in hand. So this is going to be double outside ashi, and we can go over a whole series of this of how to actually work this position, but there is some vulnerability here. So just again, 2 legs on the outside, his leg on the outside, and this is our double outside ashi. So this is going to be A2. A3, is going to be the exact opposite. So both my feet are on the outside. Now both my feet are going to face the inside. And so it's going to be this direction. And so this is going to be a reaping position, and we can turn. I want to turn, there we go. So on my feet are going to be reaped across the leg. And so I have 2 feet over, okay? I generally refer to this position as Sambo knot position, just because that's when I first started seeing it used. I'm sure this has like a cross ashi and all this. People call this different names. I just refer to it as kind of a Sambo knot position. This is not Sambo knot, but you can start to enter into that position from here. This is going to be A3. But it's essentially just keeping the leg on the outside, and both your feet from the outside go to the inside. When you do this, make sure that your feet are flexing and you're trying to grab the opposite leg. Now, the reason why we do this, can we turn this way? It's kind of hard on the knee when you start to practice this. The reason why I want to flex my feet and catch this leg as soon as I can, even if I can't catch it, I flex my feet so that I can prevent the turn. The issue with this, if I grab here, he can't do the turn. When I do this reap here, the issue here is knee line. Okay, you'll hear when we start going over leg locks, leg lock defense is very simple. One of the main things you hear all the time is knee line. So the knee line is going to be a bit sacrificed here. Okay, so his knee's already kind of out past my knee. And we'll go over the knee line at some point, but if I don't get the hold of this leg and he can actually start to turn, I've lost the knee line, okay? And so he can actually start to move and potentially produce an escape. But if I initially reap the leg and I hook and I grab, there's no more turning this direction, and there's certainly no more turning back to his left. So this is a very strong position. Again, I want my knees facing up. You need to be sitting up. I don't want you leaning down. It's critical that because I've sacrificed the knee line, I want to keep a 90-degree bend in his leg. If I keep a 90-degree bend in his leg, this keeps me attached. If I flex, this also keeps me attached. And if I grab, this will also help keep me attached to him. So I layer the attachments. So this is going to be our A3 position. And again, we call this kind of Sambo knot entry. But at some point we'll go over Sambo knot, what it actually looks like. So this is going to be A3. The B and C category are basically going to be with his leg on the inside. So the way we transition here is pretty easy. I'm going to lean backwards, allow his leg to cross my body, and I'm going to get into honey hole position. So honey hole position, there's many variations from here, and it also has different names. I first learned it as the saddle. It was called the saddle. I went over to honey hole, went to possibly 411. I don't know. There was different names. I had another name as well. So this is going to be, we just call it honey hole. So we're in honey hole position. Earlier when I was talking about knee line, so now the knee line really matters here. The distance from James' knee to my knee, okay? This is a good knee line, okay? What I don't want to see is when he starts to press on my knee, push me away, then our knees start to get next to each other and his knee can start to get free, okay? So it's very important that I make sure that my knee line is open. Now, when you get better at leg locks and you really start to understand these positions, you can start to somewhat break these rules a little bit, just like the rest of your jiu-jitsu. But for the time being, really monitor your knee line here and make sure that you're not allowing this knee to move freely. So once we get here, this is going to be B1 position, which is honey hole, legs on the inside. I will generally teach knees up when I'm teaching the 9 positions, but we'll go over actually where a much more controlling position that I prefer you be. But just so we can see this is honey hole position. This is where we start setting up our heel hooks or inside heel hooks. So from here, we're going to transfer from honey hole to what we call the lateral knee bar. So lateral knee bar is going to be B2. And the lateral knee bar, it's not... I'm not going to say it's a very high percentage submission. It is certainly a transitional, a very useful transitional piece of the leg locks. What I mean by that is if I turn to the side here and I go flat, okay, even though my knees are facing the same way, but now his knee here is no longer this way, it's actually turning this way. Okay, so his knee's facing this direction, whereas before it was facing the ceiling. And you can see right here his foot's sticking up, so there's this amount of space where I can actually pull this leg down. And I could, if I pull this leg to my right while keeping his foot lateral here, if I start to pull this to my right and I start to hip the opposite direction, this will create a ripping effect. And potentially, which I can tell already because of the tension, it'll produce a lateral knee bar. Where you really find this works very well is, let's say I don't get the position, I'm just holding his leg here, and he starts to bend it left to right. See, as soon as he turns his heel down, I'm not in, I can try to pull him back this direction, and I grab the big toes and pull him back this direction to control him. But where this is really useful is that I can transition the leg from the outside to the inside. And what this does is it layers my attacks. So if he does a good job and I start to go like this and he starts to turn his heel, to hide his heel, to defend the heel hook, I'm going to go up and I'm going to cross the leg over. I'm going to sit up and I go back to A3 position. So Sambo knot position. If he starts to really defend this and kick me really hard here, I'm going to release. I'm going to push him on this side and I'll bring him back to lateral knee bar. I'm going to try to bring him back this direction and go back to a honey hole. He hides and I bring it back over. So this can be a bit of a strategy you can play to keep them kind of guessing which direction you want to go. So we included the lateral knee bar because you can actually produce a submission from here, okay? But again, it's not very high percentage, but it's a very good transitional piece. So from lateral knee bar position, and again, I'm grabbing the big toes. Let's just stop real quick and focus on what my targets for the foot. If you look at the foot I always imagine is a triangle. So here to here to here. There are 3 points of contact on the foot that you will typically have to do almost all your leg locks, okay? That's gonna be contact with the big bone on the big toe, the contact with the little bone over here to the little toe, and of course the heel Achilles region, okay? If you're ever confused or where you're at in the 9 positions, it's one of these points of contact that you're gonna get control of his leg and produce a submission, okay? So just think of the foot as a triangle, all right? This is very useful. So in this particular case, if I was using this idea, I know that I wouldn't grab here. I would go, well, there's the big toe, boom, I'm bringing back here. There's a lot of tension I can produce and a lot of control I can produce. The knee bar, you're gonna see this used in 2 ways. So I transferred to B3 position, which is turning away. So if you notice, it really is about where my hip placement is. Hips here, hips here. 1, 2, 3. So if I'm facing away, I'm in the classic knee bar position. So this is going to be B3. Notice where I'm gripping on the heel, the triangle. So this is my first point of contact. The knee bar, when we actually go over this position, actually how to finish the knee bar, you're going to see why the point of contact is so important here. But just so we can get this, placement correct first, is I have control of the heel, and then again, I only have 2 other points of contact. So I know it's not the pinky here, I know it's the big toe. So if I reach in, I grab the big toe and I pinch with my neck and I seal everything up and I hold the heel, I know that I'm in a good knee bar position, okay? So this is gonna be B3, and we'll go over that knee bar finish. So we're in B3 here. So now we're gonna transfer to the C category. C category, we're gonna keep the leg on the same side, and we're gonna transfer to 50-50. If you're familiar with this position, it's simply, obviously, 50-50 means we're just in equal position, okay? His leg didn't transfer to the outside, he's still on the inside, and, I'm not a big fan of this position anymore just because the leg locks have gotten a lot better over the years, and, you run into several different people. I always like to say this, I don't like to get into races here in 50-50 position because sometimes you'll run into people that either A, are better than you, B, have more flexibility in their foot, or which is the worst part is C, they don't care about their leg being broken. And so in the event that I were actually to break James' leg here, he would just let me break it, and then he can start to break my leg. Okay, and there's nothing I'd be stuck in 50-50 and just trying to fight and defend. Meanwhile, his leg's broken. So I don't mind, and that's usually in competition. You'll see that, but I generally don't prefer 50-50. That being said, it's a fantastic position to play with and learn, and you should learn it. Ryan All has a great series on this, and so highly recommend that. So 50-50 position. Okay, so simply put, equal position, legs are crossed. Try to cross your feet here. Again, knees to the ceiling, and cross your foot. Now, how you cross matters here. I don't cross this. Just turn this way. How you cross your feet in double outside ashi and 50-50 actually matter here. When your feet get to the outside, it's going to matter how you cross your feet. Okay. What I want you to make sure of is that you don't cross your feet like this. Okay. This is no good. He's going to pick my foot up in his armpit. He's going to heel hook me here. Bam. Okay. So what I need to do is always remember to cross my right foot over my left foot. This is going to give me a basic layer of defense. Okay, so now when he tries to get the foot, he'll just get my top leg, which is somewhat more easily defendable because my knee is free, right? My knee's not controlled, like his knee's controlled here. So I have a little bit more mobility, and he can't really produce an outside heel hook. My foot can turn, right? I still have a lot of mobility here. Not that he can't get it, it's just that, I can probably survive. So make sure your outside leg is always going to cross over your inside leg. This is also true for double outside ashi, okay? You just don't want the leg that's stuck and controlled to get caught, okay? So this is going to be 50-50 position, C1. C2, we're going to go into 80-20. All I'm going to do is fall to my side and bring my knee to the ground. So 80-20 is just as it sounds. I'm improving my position, and I don't know who came up with the percentages, but it seems about right. So if I'm in equal position, I can improve my position by turning my knee down. Okay. Yep. And what this produces is a short heel, but immediately I want to cover this up. So you'll see this a lot in competition. This is a fantastic position. This dramatically changes things. Okay. There's not many leg attacks on my legs here. There certainly are, but they're somewhat they're reduced because they're no longer in 50-50. So I have 80%, if you want to look at it that way, I have 80% of the attacks, he has 20% of the attacks. But certainly my knees are facing a different direction. My legs are covered. The main leg is actually covered from a heel hook. So this is a great position. Again, I'll control the big toe here. Ideally, we're trying to get into this heel hook position, okay? But really what makes it 80-20 is the knees down to the mat, okay? So that'll be C2. And then C3, of course, is going to be taking both legs and crossing over. So this is what this looks like. I take both legs, I'm going to cross over, I'm going to reach, I'm going to bite him back. So one foot goes to the, if you want to look at it as the belly button, the second leg reaches cross and kind of creates this figure four while grabbing his hip. So we call this the 90-10 position. So now my position has been improved even further. And again, my knee's facing down. It's just that my leg, instead of being on this side, is now on the other side. And my knee here stays center. Okay. From here, I can produce all the same moves. I can start to produce heel hooks, lateral knee bars. All these things can still happen from here. That's going to be the C3 position. So if we want to look at it real quick, do we turn this way?
Yeah.
So if you want to look at it in one sequence without all the chatter, we're going to start ashi garami position, double outside ashi. Sambo knot position. Allow the leg to cross over. Honey hole position. Lateral knee bar. Knee bar position. 50-50. 80-20. 90-10.
We'll do it facing the other way.
Yep. So 50-50, 80-20, 90-10. Those will be your last three positions. So those are the 9 positions that we've identified universally on leg locks. The reason why we show this, I had this in basic and fundamental classes, is so that you can see the paths. Okay, it's very useful to know where you're at in the leg lock positions because it's already very, very confusing. There's legs crisscrossed everywhere. So if you can identify where you're at, and then you'll know where to grab the foot because of the triangle, then you can actually start producing the submissions that you're actually learning. So this is why we kind of identified the position. Seems like a lot, but but really, honestly, it sounds like a lot because I talk a lot. But the positions are pretty straightforward once you really start to learn them. But yeah, this is a good practice. Find somebody to drill this with, and then you'll have a kind of a map of how to navigate through leg locks.